The bridge of the GFS Retribution fell silent when the transmission crackled through. 3 words that made even battle-hardened commanders pause. Ghost requesting clearance. Captain Jackson gripped the armrest of his command chair, his knuckles whitening. Around him, the bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Everyone in the Galactic Federation knew that call sign. Ghost, the phantom pilot who had turned the tide of 17 major engagements, who flew with a precision that defied physics, who struck from nowhere and vanished before enemy sensors could lock on. Nobody knew who Ghost was. Human, obviously. The flight patterns were unmistakably Terran, that characteristic blend of chaos and calculation that made human pilots either the best or the most reckless in the galaxy. But which human? The Federation had thousands of pilots. Ghost's identity remained classified at the highest levels, sealed behind encryption that not even Jackson's command clearance could penetrate. "Grant clearance," Jackson said, his voice steady despite the tension. Vector heard a hangar bay 3. The comm officer's antennae twitched, a Zenthari gesture of surprise. "Sir, Ghost's transponder signature. It's registered as her?" "Apparently." Jackson stood, straightening his uniform. "I'm going to the hangar. This is our first direct contact. Let's not mess it up." The hangar bay was already buzzing with activity when Jackson arrived. Maintenance crews pretended to work while stealing glances at the entrance. Word had spread fast. Ghost was coming here in person. The mysterious ace who had single-handedly destroyed a Krelthak dreadnought. The pilot whose maneuvers were now studied in tactical academies across 12 systems. A sleek black fighter descended through the atmospheric shield, its design unlike anything standard in the Federation arsenal. Custom-built, Jackson realized. The hull bore no markings except for a small white emblem near the cockpit, a stylized ghost that seemed to shimmer in the hangar lights. The canopy hissed open. The pilot stood, pulling off her helmet, and Jackson felt his breath catch. She was young, barely looked old enough to hold a military commission. Japanese heritage, he guessed from her features, with short dark hair that fell messily around her face. But it was her eyes that held him. Dark, intense, carrying the weight of someone who had seen too much combat, too many close calls, too many victories paid for in blood. "Captain Jackson?" Her voice was calm, professional, with just a hint of a Tokyo accent. "Ghost, I presume." He stepped forward, offering his hand, "Though I suspect that's not the name your mother gave you." A ghost of a smile crossed her lips. "Akira, Lieutenant Akira Tanaka, formerly of the Terran Defense Corps." She shook his hand firmly. "And no, my mother definitely didn't name me Ghost. That came later. Your reputation precedes you, Lieutenant. The Krelthak have a bounty on Ghost's head. 3 million credits. 3.5 million as of last week," Akira corrected, stepping down from her fighter. She ran a hand along its hull with obvious affection. "I took out one of their supply convoys near the Endara Nebula." They weren't happy. Jackson studied her. Up close, he could see the signs. The slight tremor in her hands that spoke of combat stims wearing off. The faded scar along her jawline. The way her eyes constantly scanned the environment, cataloging exits and threats. This was someone who had been fighting too long, too hard. "Why the secrecy?" he asked. "Why hide your identity?" Akira's expression darkened. "Because the moment they know who I am, they know how to hurt me. The Krelthak don't just kill enemy combatants, Captain. They study us. They find our families, our friends, everyone we care about. Ghost isn't a person to them, it's a threat, a phantom." The moment Akira Tanaka becomes Ghost, she trailed off, but Jackson understood. "Your file is sealed. I couldn't access it even with command clearance." "Good." Admiral Chen made sure of that after the incident at Proxima Station. Her jaw tightened. "I had a squadron once. 12 good pilots. The Krelthak intercepted our communications, learned who we were. Within a week, they'd sent assassination teams to Earth. Half my squadron lost family members. 3 pilots cracked under the pressure, made mistakes in combat. Only 4 of us made it out of that sector alive. And Ghost was born. Ghost was necessary." Akira looked up at him, and Jackson saw the steel beneath her youth. "Anonymity is armor, Captain. They can fear Ghost. They can hunt Ghost. But they can't threaten my little brother on Mars. They can't kidnap my father in Osaka. Ghost has no family, no friends, no past. Just targets and empty space." Jackson nodded slowly. He'd read the tactical reports, seen the numbers. Since Ghost had appeared 18 months ago, Human casualties in her operational sectors had dropped by 40%. Enemy morale had plummeted. Entire Krelthak fleets had altered their routes to avoid regions where Ghost was known to operate. One woman, refusing to be a person, becoming a legend instead. "I brought you here for a reason," Jackson said. "We're planning an assault on the Krelthak command station at Helix Prime. It's heavily defended, 6 battle cruisers, planetary defense grids, the works. Command wants Ghost to lead the initial strike." Akira's eyes narrowed, already calculating. Suicide run? High risk. But if anyone can punch through their defenses... He met her gaze. "We need Ghost, but I wanted to ask Akira first. Are you willing?" For a moment she was silent, staring at her fighter. Then she pulled her helmet back on, and when she spoke, her voice had changed. Harder, colder. The voice of someone who had chosen to become something more than human. Akira would hesitate. Akira would think about her family, about surviving to see them again. The helmet sealed with a hiss. But Ghost doesn't have those concerns. Ghost only has targets. She climbed back into her cockpit, the canopy already beginning to close. "Send me the mission parameters, Captain. And tell your pilots not to fall behind. Ghost doesn't slow down for anyone." As her fighter lifted off and shot toward the exit, Jackson watched it go. Somewhere in that black ship was a young woman named Akira, who had sacrificed her identity to protect the people she loved. But in the cockpit there was only Ghost, the phantom ace that the enemy feared and the Federation needed. Her identity was a mystery. But her call sign would be remembered long after the war ended. A reminder that sometimes the greatest warriors were the ones who gave up everything, even their own names, to protect what mattered most. The ghost in the machine. The shadow in the stars ghost.